After a few days off, I am back. Truth is, the last couple of days, my throat started getting, it was starting to feel a little scratchy and a little bit of a cough. And I started thinking to myself, oh no! Like, have I contracted that Crown Victoria 19 virus that's going around? So I was waiting a couple of days, just kind of monitoring how I was doing. And as of right now, I'm not really experiencing any of the symptoms that seem to coincide with the Crown Victoria 19. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that, at least for now, I just have some allergies. And the funny thing is, in this time we're living in with what's happening, I think the mainstream media has whipped up everyone into such a frenzy that, we're all just paranoid about our health and nobody knows what's going on. What if I, in fact, did get the Crown Victoria 19 and that's all it did to me? It just gave me a scratchy throat and now I'm just kind of over it. And if the government decides to institute some sort of mandatory testing, when they got to my sample, they're like, holy cow. So like, this guy only had it for like 2 days, blasted through it like it was nothing. And we've now determined that we can synthesize his white blood cells to combat this and we can save lives. And then they just hit me up and they're like, hey man, you got super blood. And I was like, oh really? Well, what would that be worth on the open market? What if that's what helped end the virus? My toxic male patriarchal blood that just put an end to the epidemic. What would I ask for in return? The philanthropic part of me would be like,
yes, take my blood for all of mankind.
But then there's the realist part of me that's like,
so hey man, all these frozen pizzas I've been eating, they ain't free. I want $10 million. Or better yet, just pay me in Twitch streamers. Hot, wet Twitch streamers.
I have a real bone to pick with the mainstream media, as I imagine a lot of people do. I mean, not that long ago, just 6-7 weeks ago, they were spending all of their time just screeching about impeachment, even though all the independent journalists, they were covering this outbreak from China for a long time. If mainstream media had covered it in the same fashion, 7 weeks ago, they could easily have set up all of America in a much better position, because they could have been saying way back then, hey, it might not be a bad idea that, next time you go to the grocery store, maybe get an extra bottle of water, maybe some rice and some canned beans. Nothing to worry about, but there is this weird thing going on in China, and it might end up here, so you might want to consider this. Obviously, I don't think anyone would have predicted the toilet paper situation. In my last video, I was using this first-person camera angle thing that I was doing. Sometimes you see people doing this, and I admit it does look lower quality than if you're using screen-grabbing technology. I kind of like the idea of you're just kind of doing this freehand camera thing, because I like people to know that I'm not a bot, and that the way I'm just kind of moving around, flailing a bit with this camera. Can a bot do this?
Hello, Taco.
No, a bot cannot do that. Only a 321 Peep Street can do that. So the focus of this video, I figured for today, is I know I've kind of touched base a little bit on the MGTOW movement. Even though I have a lot of the characteristics of a lot of the guys in that movement, I don't really align myself with them. I don't have anything against them. I just think my whole thing is I'm not into telling other people how to live their lives, just like I don't really want anyone telling me how to live my life. I think the best way to approach life is listen to what other people are saying, and then you kind of take your own life experiences and you try to apply what you heard, and some of it's going to work and some of it won't. But you have to have the confidence to just kind of stand up on your own feet. I'm not angry at women, and I don't have an issue with the guys that do. I just think that you need to create your own path. But with that said, I do follow some of these guys, and I find their content interesting. And as you know, if you watch YouTube, the algorithm still does a pretty good job of recommending videos in similar genres. And so a lot of times I'll just have these MGTOW videos playing in the background while I'm doing something else. And there's a new channel that I don't know how long this guy's had his channel. I'd never heard of it before. And then he popped up. I'm gonna see if I can link this in the description. His channel is called Strong Successful Male. And I almost thought it was a joke when I saw that, because if anyone that follows South Park, recently knows that there's a character on that show called Strong Woman. So I didn't know if this guy was like making a play at that. I've only watched a couple of his videos, so he's not really demonstrated how he's like strong or successful. He's just kind of doing the regular MGTOW thing. Now his videos from what I've seen, they're pretty good. I just don't know if this is like a tongue-in-cheek like type of name that he has. But he recently he put out this video. You know, you should just go to his channel and watch the video, because he'll do a better job than me in explaining it. But I just wanted to sum up. It's an article that a woman wrote about, you know, why men stop being gentlemen. And it's such a... I'm amazed that women are still asking this question.
Why don't the guys stop holding doors open for us? Why did the guys stop being gentlemen? Where did chivalry go?
I guess in the article, they were talking about all these guys from like the 50s or so, you know, during the height of patriarchy. Like, what part of it are they not understanding? And the simple answer to the question is, why aren't men being gentlemen? Well, that ended when women stopped being chaste. You know what chaste means, right? You put up the definition right here. That's why. I like women, and I like cars, and I like analogies. So here's one, and it's aimed specifically at the female 30-something demographic that's asking why men aren't gentlemen anymore and investing in them. You can think of like a modern-day woman, kind of like an older Corvette. Maybe like, you know, a Corvette that maybe came out in like the late 90s, like early 2000s. And sure, back in the day, you know, when it was like brand new on the lot, or, you know, maybe just had a few miles on it, that was going to be a really highly desirable ride. And it's certainly not something that you would be embarrassed being seen with. You'd want to take that out for a test drive, you know, pedal to the metal, all that. Well, if you have that same Corvette, let's say, I don't know, it's like a 2001 or something. I don't know, I'm just throwing a number, a year out there. And it's now 2020. Maybe that Corvette, you know, it's got 170,000 miles on it. You know, it's got dings on it. Like the paint is scratched. You know, that engine might be shot. There's definitely some mechanical issues under the surface that you can't see, but they're there. And then the clincher is, using our analogy, if she's got some kids, well, that's like that old Corvette with 170,000 miles on the odometer, like pulling a trailer or two. She's still thinking, yeah, you should be paying full price for this. And all the guys are looking at it like,
no.
That new Corvette back in 2001, that was still like, what, $40,000, $50,000 car, depending on the trim level and options. And so if you've got that kind of money, you ain't spending it on a 2001 Corvette. You could get something much more modern and newer that you'll be a lot happier with in 2020. You know, there's always going to be, you know, a few, you know, oddball people who are like, well, I could fix her up. And you can. You know, if there is a very particular like model of car that you've just always been enamored with, and it becomes like a labor of love, I guess you could call it in this case like a Captain Save-A-Ho project. Sure, you can get in there and, you know, you could get that car, you know, with all those issues, and you can rebuild it up, and you might have that sense of satisfaction that you fixed it to the best of your ability. But, and, you know, some people who are mechanically inclined and are obviously masochists and gluttons for punishment, like, yeah, they might do it, but like the average man, like, you're just gonna spend the money on something newer, more reliable, and it's just gonna give you much more enjoyment up front. So yeah, that was an article on a video that I saw from the Strong Successful Male channel. It's still a funny name. So check that guy's channel out. He's got some pretty good videos if you're into this kind of, you know, manosphere type of video. Like I said, I don't have a problem with the women either. There was another girl who, I don't know why she popped in my head. I had watched some of her videos probably like a year ago. That's probably like the last time I saw her. And she's a very pretty girl, very smart too. I actually remembered her name, her first name. It was Ashley. And I remembered she always wore turtlenecks in her videos. So I searched on YouTube Ashley turtleneck, and I found pictures of her. I can't tell if, like, I don't remember what her actual channel was called, there are other people that are talking about her. So this is her. And yeah, I don't know if she still makes videos anymore. I wasn't willing to really put in the legwork to, like, I don't know what happened to her. But yeah, back in the day, a year or so ago, I was watching her videos, and I liked them. I thought that she was well, she's very easy on the eyes, and she's smart too. She had made a video where she was talking about how like there shouldn't be a double standard when it comes to body counts for men and women, sexual partners. This is another one where I'm amazed that modern, like, smart, intelligent women, like, don't understand this. It makes no sense to me. So here's another analogy that I wanted to just throw out there. If you have a man and woman, let's say in this fictitious example, you've got a 25-year-old guy, 25-year-old girl. On the sexual marketplace value scale, they're both a 5. So they're average. Let's envision this in a restaurant setting. So you've got that man, you got that woman, they're both a 5 out of 10, and they're going into these restaurants, and the objective is to get a free meal. Again, it's just an analogy for sex, obviously. The woman, she's probably going to be able to get a free meal in, I would say, 70 to 80% of the restaurants that she goes in. That guy, man, his percentage of free meals that he might get, I'm guessing like 2% or less. So think about it. Like even an average woman, she could go into just about any restaurant, and the owner of the restaurant's gonna see her and be like, "Oh, hey, come on in. You want some free food?" Women that take advantage of that and indulge in it, what's gonna happen to them? Yeah, they're gonna get gluttonous, overweight, obese, unhealthy. That guy, if he's just a 5 on the physical attractiveness scale, he's got to have some serious game to talk some of those restaurant owners into giving him a free meal. And like I said, his percentage of success is going to be much, much lower. As a 5, it's much lower. And we all know that on the dating sites, there's that 80-20 rule. And granted, like, the one thing that people don't really talk about with that 80-20 rule is mostly aimed at these trash, like, hookup dating sites, like Tinder. It shouldn't be that surprising there that, the most superficial and vacuous people that are just looking for hookups, with, like, hot people. Yeah, of course, everyone, well, the guys are like, yeah, anyone that says yes, I'm good to go. But the women, when they got their pick, yeah, they're just picking, like, that top 20% of guys. I think that sums it up. I mean, I don't know how else you can put it to the women these days. Like, it's not appealing if you've been with, like, hundreds of guys, because you don't have to work for it at all. Just existing makes you desirable to men, and that is not the case for men at all. In closing, what I'd like to say at the end of this video is, it has been statistically proven on YouTube, if you mention at some point in your videos that old tried and true, oh, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, that whole spiel. I don't do that because, technically I just did, but I don't do that because I don't really like telling people what to do, just like I don't like being told what to do. I guess statistically, it's been proven that if you say those things to people, once you've kind of put it out there, there's a higher percentage of people that'll be like, oh, sure thing, buddy, I'll give you a thumbs up, there you go. Like, something like that. I guess I'm gonna create something, to either put in my video at some point that will kind of suggest to people to maybe help me out. It's such a weird time, right? I know that with all the subscriptions that I have, all the channels that I subscribe to on YouTube, because people are just home now, we're watching a lot of people on YouTube, I'm just running out. I mean, even my favorite content creators can only make so many videos in a given amount of time. I'll go through all the recommended videos, and eventually you just get to the point where it's like, I don't know what to watch now. Maybe, like, newer channels such as mine, will help kind of fill in that void. I like the idea that there will be some people that'll find what I'm saying entertaining or interesting or funny or maybe even, like, offensive, and they'll just, like, hate watch me too. I'm gonna end it with this. Don't forget to bike, snare, and eat pie. You know what I mean.